I think we need to do a 1, 2, 3 go thing to make sure that we're all in time. Are you ready? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go. I don't know who's welcoming. I guess it's me.
There's the beginning of the intro of this fucking podcast.
That might as well just be it, you know.
There's our podcast.
That's it. Just an hour of this. Okay, so. Welcome to the first ever rushed production of Nothing to Play with me, Pondis.
And me, Kingy.
Nothing to Play is a new podcast where we'll be discussing big or small news, depending on what's been going on, along with some thoughts and feelings about any topics that we have on our minds, and probably go into a bit about what we've been playing and why. So the podcast's pretty much been fast tracked from idea to production in probably a little over about 3 days, just because of the huge news from Nintendo.
Huge news.
It's probably the biggest news all year, and that's including sort of like 2 console releases with the Pro and the S. But we sort of knew they were coming, and we knew what they were, and we knew what they'd do. So what was the big Nintendo news?
Well, Nintendo finally showed off the NX, which they've now called it the Switch. Well, the Switch.
I find it. I'm not sure if I like NX better, to be honest.
I loved the codename NX. It was fantastic. It meant nothing.
Yeah.
But I love the name Switch because it perfectly sums up exactly what it is.
Yeah, there is that, but sort of NX, I'd love to know what it stood for. It's got to be a code name. So it's probably, knowing Nintendo, it's probably one of the chips inside, because the GameCube was Dolphin, and that had the Dolphin chip in, and I think the N64 was Ultra, and I think that's got an Ultra chip in it or something or another. So yeah. Probably. Oh, what is it? It's the Nvidia. It's the Nvidia X1 chip in it, isn't it?
It's the Tegra.
Yeah, Tegra X1.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're Nvidia as well.
Although there's rumours that it might be the Tegra 2.
Yeah, well, it depends on like pricing and stuff, I suppose. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't stick
I'd hope that they go for the 2.
Yeah, because extra power is never a bad thing.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
So I wrote down sort of a step by step of what went on in the trailer. I've not told Kingy anything about it. I want us to. King, I'm assuming you've watched the trailer. You have to have watched the trailer.
Oh yeah, at work we analysed it for about an hour.
I read a thing today that fans have analysed it, and they picked up on something that I only picked up sort of the other day when I went through it again. And I'll explain what that is when I get to it. But it's pretty obvious. To be honest, I think it's pretty obvious. It's pretty standard advertising technique. They've been doing it for years, so I wouldn't blame them. But anyway, so the trailer starts off with a man it starts off with like a widescreen of like a city street with apartments at night, and it goes into this man who's playing Zelda on his TV with the Joy-Cons in the Joy Grip, that weird thing with the big square in the middle, that looks incredibly uncomfortable to use. Is it just me that thought that, or?
Well, I don't know. It reminded me of the Dreamcast pad a bit, to be honest.
It just looks so unwieldy, like that big square in the middle and these 2 handhelds that are sort of directly underneath it. It kind of just looks like you'd be straining to reach anything, but I suppose the bloke looked like he was using it fairly well. But I suppose until you really get to have a go with it, then I guess we won't really know what it feels like. I expect it's just sort of like the handles of the Pro pads that they have now, which is basically a rip off of the Xbox 360 pads, but with a thing that you can slide the Joy-Cons on. Joy-Cons as well. Any ideas? Any thoughts on the Joy-Cons themselves? The 2 little slidey bits on the edge of the controllers.
I think it's really cool.
I think they're pretty good.
Perfectly serves what it needs to do. Playing on a controller like that at home, and then you can just slot it onto the tablet thing, and then you can take it away and carry on playing. Yeah, it's great.
I'm not too sure how sort of ergonomic they're going to be yet. If they'll sort of if you'll get any like sort of tired after any use, because I suppose it's no different to the to holding a 3DS for any length of time, and I've got a 3DS XL, so that's sort of, it's a bit bigger, and I guess it sort of fits in the hand a bit better. The original 3DS was quite a bit smaller, so I never really got a chance to play with that too much. So I don't know if that was very difficult. I did hear some people complaining that they found them quite hard to hold for a while, but I think that's. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the shape.
I was one of them. I got cramp after so long in my thumb, so I'd have to stop for 5 minutes and then carry on.
What's 5 minutes in a day of gaming, really? So yeah, then he then back to the trailer. This bloke takes the Joy-Cons off that Joy grip. I think Joy is going to feature quite heavily in the Switch campaign.
The joy.
Yeah. And then he slides them onto the side of the Switch that's in that little U-shaped dock, and picks the thing up, and the gameplay switches from the TV to the Switch sort of straight away.
I'm hoping that it is as instant as that.
Yeah, I don't sort of see why not, and that's because there was a conversation between some journalists and Nintendo, and Nintendo are typically quite tight-lipped about this. But they said that the dock itself only provides an output to the TV and charges the actual thing itself.
Yeah, it also had some USB slots on the side as well. Presumably that'd be for charging Pro controllers or adding on accessories and stuff.
I guess it's probably going to have a like an Ethernet on it as well. But then
I'd imagine so.
Yeah,
wireless Ethernet.
It makes me wonder if the Joy-Con, the Joy-Con, terrible. The Switch itself is going to have to be sort of wireless, I expect. So is it all just done through wireless, or once you plug it in, does it swap from the wireless network adapter to an Ethernet? Because playing over wireless is.
I'd imagine they'd have that set up for it would just automatically do it, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah,
otherwise, you're having to turn it on all the bloody time.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So yeah, then he picks up this thing and goes into the park and plays his game while his dog's running around, probably killing ducks.
That was a massive dog as well.
It was a big dog, yeah, and he lived in quite a small apartment. I think.
Yeah.
It was a bit weird. But then I assume these were they have to have been Americans. It wouldn't have been shot in England, so maybe it's different in America. But yeah, then we go to a woman who's sat in an airport, and she pushes a like a memory card into the top of her Switch. So I think we knew for a while that it was going to be a cartridge based thing, and it sort of looked about the same size as the Vita game carts. I mean, not quite as big as the PS3. I think the PS3. I think the 3DS carts are quite big. But this looked fairly small. Whether it's not just going to be a like a basic SD card, they wouldn't be so daft as to do that, I wouldn't have thought. So yeah, but the size of the thing, not the physical size, but the memory capacity, that's going to be a question, because games for the PS4 and Xbox One take up like a full Blu-ray at times, I guess, sort of 50 gig.
And then you also get patches and stuff. Then I'd say most games come around about between 50 and 80 now.
Yeah, which makes you sort of wonder for the size of these things. They're not gonna. I mean, I assume you're probably going to be looking at about 25, 30 gig. I mean, 25, 30 gig. I suppose the card would be like a 32 gig to a 64 gig card. They're not particularly expensive now. You can mass produce the things fairly cheap.
Well, you can get 128 gig really fairly cheap now.
Yeah, so maybe it's not actually going to be that as much of a big deal as I thought it might be.
Unless they go with some kind of proprietary card where people have to buy it, and that takes up the cost then. Oh
god, yeah, I expect that Nintendo are going to mass produce these things and then sell them. I don't know how Nintendo did it in the past. Did a company sort of submit their software and Nintendo wrote the carts, stuck a sticker on them and shipped them out, or did they sell the carts to the people to right themselves.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
No, I don't know. I know you had to buy them, so a company would have to buy the carts. But I guess they just bought them from Nintendo. I don't know if Nintendo wrote them themselves or what.
Well, back in the day, Codemasters, they had their own carts.
Oh yeah. Back when there was a whole legal thing with them as well, with the Game Genie,
Game
and
Genie,
they won somehow.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually breaking the law.
Strange how the law works, isn't it? But yeah, so we see this woman shoving this cart on the top of the Switch. Also, 3.5 centimeter headset. No, 3.5 mil. Jesus, getting these dimensions wrong. 3.5 mil headphone jack, which I think is, well, it was pretty standard, really, wasn't it? But they've not gone Apple's Bluetooth only sort of setup.
I don't think it's the device that needs to do that.
No.
The Apple's thing, the Apple one, I think is fine. At some point, you've got to go to the next position. Someone's got to take a stand. But for just a general handheld gaming machine, and it's big as well, so you've got space to put that jack in. Whereas Apple were trying to reduce, create more space within the phone. So it makes sense.
Yeah, in a strange way, I don't really see a problem with Apple taking the jack out. Sure, the jack would have been nice. They're giving
the adapter. I mean, you probably end up losing it, but still, you still got that option.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been saying that sort of Bluetooth can do sort of a lot. The sound quality can be better, and the headphones themselves can be sort of better produced.
Apparently through that connection, the sound quality will be better for listening to music. So
yeah, maybe it'll be the start of something big. But yeah, so the next stage, man. So there's a bloke comes along into the airport, and he sits down next to the woman, and he's showing her what he's playing, and she's looking over, and you don't see what game they're playing. Probably not playing a game at all. So then the man goes onto the airplane, and he gets into a seat, and he pulls a kickstand out the back of the Switch itself, which is quite a good idea, I think. Certainly with the detachable joysticks, so you can sort of stand it up and you can play. That kickstand probably not as flimsy as it looks, but I don't know. We might see quite a few of them. Yeah.
Well, I was a little worried. It's just the one.
It sort of looks like one, but off-centered.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, these kickstands and things, depending on how it's done, they can get worn and sort of flap around. But fingers crossed that it's fairly well made.
I imagine we'll be getting third-party cases and stuff, so they'll have a stand within it on them as well, and keep it more sturdy and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not something I thought of actually when I was watching this, but yeah, that'd be quite good. And yeah, then it's the first time you sort of see the Joy-Cons from the side on, and I didn't realise. I thought they were just sort of like flat on the thing, but they've got like a curved top. So they've got a top trigger and a bumper on them as well.
Mm.
So I guess that's going to be like R1, R2. And that's the first time I'd sort of seen that. I didn't notice it the first time I watched through. I sort of assumed they'd have like the bumper on the top but not the trigger on the back. And the one thing I sort of thought of when I saw that was that's going to be a real pain in the arse to use. Because you're going to have to sort of use your thumb to hold the Joy-Con in your hand while you're pressing the trigger. Otherwise, you're going to try and press the trigger and it's going to be like falling out of your hand and on the floor and just generally being a bit of a pain. So in that sort of respect, I'm not sure yet how I think the Joy-Cons are going to work if you're just holding them separately.
I don't know. I'm just going to wait on my opinion on that until I've actually got it in my hands to see what it feels like.
Yeah, they might be quite sturdy, and I suppose they're quite small, so you can wrap your other fingers around them. I don't know. So yeah, he's in the advert. He's playing Skyrim, which I assume we know is going to be a title for it, whether or not it's going to be a launch title. Someone did say on a forum I was reading, it was on Reddit somewhere, they said, so the special edition, the new 4K upgraded Skyrim's been sort of confirmed. And I said, how do we know it's 4K? Do we think this thing can push out 4K? I think I've read some things that said the Tegra X, I think the 2 is probably going to be quite capable of doing it, but is the 1 going to be doing it?
It might be capable of doing it. Whether it'll look any good on that system, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it was the sort of thing where on the screen it's got quite a high pixel density. The screen resolution as well. I mean, what resolution is that going to be? I would be surprised if it was less than 1080. But I don't think they're going to have a 4K LCD.
No, it won't be 4K.
Thing itself.
I imagine it would be 720 to keep costs down, but they could surprise us and give us a 1080.
I mean, 1080 is not uncommon on mobile phones now, so we might get a 1080 on the Switch itself. Maybe it'll upscale to 4K, do some clever software upscaling, but I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm not expecting 4K from the machine, to be honest.
No, God no. No way is that going to do 4K.
No. So yeah, he's playing Skyrim on his thing. I think it will just be sort of a port of the maybe like an upgraded PC version, maybe not the 4K. So yeah, he's playing this game on the airplane, and then he gets home and he plugs it into his into the dock connected to his TV, and he picks up the Joy-Con Pro, which is just like the normal Pro controller that's on the Wii U and the Wii, I suppose. Which I think is looks like a fine controller. Again, no problem with him using that. But the one thing I did sort of think about when he had these Joy-Cons in each hand that I didn't think about before for some reason is that each Joy-Con must have its own battery, because there's no way, I mean, obviously if they're not connected to anything, they have to be powered by them. So when it was in the Joy Grip, I sort of assumed that the grip itself would have a power pack and that would feed these two things. Maybe it still does, but these two Joy-Cons, I mean, what the battery life on those Joy-Cons has got to be fairly low, I'd have thought.
I don't know. I think they might be alright, to be honest. I don't think they're not going to be too taxing.
I don't know.
The PlayStation 4 controller, you get about 4 or 5 hours worth out of it.
Yeah, but that's got a big old battery in them, and then you've got two sort of much smaller batteries. I'm assuming they're connected to the console through Bluetooth. But maybe it's going to be okay. But I think maybe you'll get sort of 2 or 3 hours out of them. But then again, you can.
I think it'll be longer than that. I think you'll get about 6 or 7 hours worth of gameplay out of the controllers.
Ooh. We'll have to see. But then, I mean, even if it is fairly fairly low, slide them onto the side of the screen. The screen will power the Switch itself. They'll power.
Yeah, true.
So, it might not be too bad. You're going to take it off. You're going to have a quick go. Maybe you'll put it straight back on. I don't see anyone playing 8 hours of a game holding one thing in each hand. But yeah, so he's so that's where that scene ends. The next one, several people get into a van and slide the Switch into like a headrest mount in the back of like this VW van. So maybe we'll start seeing all these ridiculous sort of peripherals for holding the console in all kinds of various situations.
Oh, definitely. You even get loads of them.
Just sort of the idea, and they're playing Mario Kart, and someone said that it must be it can't. I think they said it. The track is a track from Mario Kart 8, but it has to be sort of like an updated one because one of the characters isn't in Mario Kart 8. So
it also has the little bubble things at the top with the character with the power things. I don't remember that being in 8.
Yeah, I think they said in 8 you can only carry one thing, but in this there seems to be sort of several boxes you can fill up, sort of like the more traditional Mario Karts. So it could be that it's maybe not Mario Kart 9, but maybe Mario Kart 8 Plus. So that could be quite good. But just the thought of playing Mario Kart in a moving car just sounds like a terrible idea for anyone who suffers from motion or travel sickness.
We don't have to play Mario Kart.
Yeah, I suppose you don't have to play the Switch. You don't even have to buy the headrest thing. If you've got travel sickness and you get in a car, you probably just put the Switch away. So yeah, so there's two people playing Mario Kart, and they both have one of these Joy-Cons each. So the way the analog sticks are, they're both, if you hold them sort of with the curved edge facing down, your left thumb controls the analog, and you've still got the 4 face buttons. And then there's 2 other buttons as well. There's a plus and a minus. I mean, if you're looking at them face on the side of the Switch or on the Joy-Con itself, on the Joy-Con grip thing, you've got a plus and a minus at the top, and then at the bottom you've got a square and a circle. I think the circle one's the home key. So maybe when you've got the Joy-Con in one hand, it's just sort of, you've only got that one extra button, or maybe you've just got the analog and the 4 face buttons, but I can't see reaching the trigger or the bumper being easy.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. So then, scene carries on with these 2 guys. I don't think they swap. I think it's still the same guys, and they're out under like an underpass, and they're playing basketball, and there's like a bench, and they have two switches. They pull out the kickstands, put them back to back, and then 4 people playing NBA with 1 Joy-Con each, and that, I mean, with them sort of connecting together, is that connection Bluetooth again? Is it more like the PSP's
ad hoc?
Yeah, maybe. Wireless ad hoc, which I seem to remember working quite well. I don't seem to think it had any problems with it. So I'm assuming this thing's got to be wireless. I don't know if they'll go for the Vita's kind of 3G thing. And I've got a 3G Vita. I've never had a SIM card in it. I don't think I've ever desperately needed it. I don't think I've ever known anyone else that had a 3G Vita, to be fair.
No, I had a wireless one.
Yeah, but I don't know if this whole play wireless multiplayer wherever you go sort of things ever really sort of caught off here. Maybe in Japan it's a bit bigger. They've always had sort of games on cell phones that you could connect to.
I think it'd be hit with the kids. I think the kids would like that.
Hit with the kids. There we go. Yeah. That's catchphrase for the day. So yeah, then we move on to the next bit, which is a woman playing Mario with the Joy Grip, and it's one of these standard, 3D. Looks very bright and colourful. Kind of looks a bit like Super Mario Sunshine. So you've got like the sandstone blocks and one of the turrets firing bullet bills out a bit further down, and she's jumping and running around. And the thing I didn't see straight away, which I did see sort of the second or third time, which is what someone brought up, is that she's moving the analog sticks, but Mario himself is just running in a straight line. So it's obvious that the gameplay footage is edited in later.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but again, like, people have been doing it, advertising have been doing it for years, because you wouldn't get that sort of whenever you see these TVs being advertised. The picture's really bright and vivid. They always say sort of like screens put on for effect, or this is a representative picture.
Not actual gameplay.
Like. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty obvious, because you get sort of angles on TV, the colour gets washed out, and they're always really bright regardless of which way you're facing it. And they even said that as she's playing this thing, her thumb is sort of over the screen, but the screen overlaps her thumb.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which is not... I'd never have seen it. They had to really zoom in, and it just cropped off the edge of her thumb. But I mean, I've got no problem with that. I sort of assumed that the pictures were going to be... it wasn't going to be actual gameplay. So in the next scene, she sort of waves to some people across the street on top of another roof, and she takes the Switch and the 2 grips with her. She just carries it in her hand the whole way. Doesn't put it in a bag or anything. And then she puts it on a table, and one of her friends, and they're both sort of playing with one joy grip each. But you never see the screen again, so you don't know if they're playing the same game or if it's like a multiplayer mini game in Mario. But I guess we'll sort of see that later. And then the next scene again, sort of a lot of people sat in a circle, each with their own Switch. They've all got the Joy-Con Pros, and they're all playing Splatoon, which is a game I never played.
It looks a lot of fun. I'd really like to play it.
Yeah, it sort of looks quite good, but I think it looks a bit sort of shallow because it's like multiplayer only, and once you get bored, I don't think there's a vast amount of sort of customization and no new weapons you can pick up. So I sort of think that once you've done and you've beat a couple of people and you've played a few games, I don't see there's an awful lot to keep coming back to, like Modern Warfare. I played Modern Warfare for a long time, despite the fact I was never any good at it, because you had to earn the experience to get new weapons, and the fact that you could get new weapons made earning the experience worthwhile. Whereas this just sort of seems like you're playing games and you win a game and then that's it. You go on to the next game to win or lose. But I suppose it's one of those games that I don't think I'd mind playing. But how long it would last me is a bit of a mystery. So yeah, and they're all sort of sat in this sort of big competition arena, and they've all got the Joy-Con Pros, and at the bottom, on the bottom edge of the Joy-Con Pro, is either an LED or the light reflecting off something. And I couldn't decide which one it was. And if it was a light reflecting, if it was like light reflecting off something, it could be the inside of a headset port. And I would be surprised if these things didn't have a headset port, or if you could get a wireless headset for the console itself. But I think it's more likely to be like an LED, which shows that you're player 1 of 4, so you can connect multiple things to the one.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
I would say that's probably what it is. And that's the end of the 3-minute trailer, which we spent the best part of half hour talking about. And at the end of the screen, there's sort of like a black footage, and it says game footage not final, graphics and features subject to change, which is sort of fairly standard again. And then sort of just above that are trademarks for Bethesda and NBA. So we knew that Skyrim, well, whether they it could have just been that they used Skyrim as representative footage, but it seems unlikely that a publisher or a developer would say, yeah, use a video of our game that's never going to be on your console. And again with NBA, I think NBA is a fairly sort of standard Nintendo kind of game.
Well, it's a multi-platform game, isn't it? So
yeah, and it would do Nintendo well, I think, this generation, to get a lot more multi-platform games. I think the Wii U suffered with it. I want to say I think the Wii suffered with it, but the Wii sold like 100 million consoles, so I don't think the Wii suffered
people
that
only
much.
bought that for Wii Sports.
Yeah, I think there was a very low sort of attachment rate, so a lot of consoles got sold, but not a lot of games did. But Nintendo sold the things at profit. You'd struggle to sell a Wii at loss. So I think either way they did pretty well out of it. But yeah, a higher attachment rate would have meant sort of a lot more money. But then I don't. The Wii just wasn't capable enough, I don't think, when faced up against the PS3 and the 360. And yeah, I've just got some sort of final thoughts. So Joy-Cons need to have their own batteries, and we sort of spoke about that. They'd have to really, the Switch itself could charge them. Whether that's the only way, whether you can also sort of have like an adapter thing to plug just the controllers on, but that seems like a real waste of time. Then it was Wi-Fi or just Bluetooth between consoles. I think they'll have some kind of Wi-Fi ad hoc thing, but the controllers themselves have got to be Bluetooth, so maybe it is all just Bluetooth. Is the dock now the dock? is that required for internet access? Do you not get internet access unless you have got it like docked in the room? Does the Switch itself provide the wireless, or is all of that sort of transmission taken through by the dock?
The dock is just really not going to have much in it at all. It's just going to be a bit of plastic and some connectors and the charge point, really, and the HDMI pass-through. Everything else will be done by the tablet.
Yeah, that does seem sort of more likely. I mean, Nintendo originally said that. Well, I don't know if Nintendo originally said it or if it was just sort of heavily implied by everyone that spoke to or around Nintendo. But there was a lot of people sort of saying that Nintendo would sort of lower the price by selling the Switch in March and then possibly waiting up to a year for the dock. Now, if the dock's just going to be sort of a piece of plastic with an adapter on it, surely they'd bundle it all together. It seems worthwhile, worthless to sell the two separately.
It'll be all bundled together. You'll get the tablet with the Joy-Con, and you'll get the connector for the controller when you're at home, and then you'll have the docking station. They'll probably even give us a HDMI.
Oh, HDMI spoiling us.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say that the Pro controller will be extra. The Joy Grip, yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's going to be extra.
I think that'll be in with it.
Yeah.
Just because it's part of using it, isn't it? So.
Yeah, but then it does make me wonder if they would sort of put the dock on it, because the dock could just be an optional extra. It's never specifies that you have to have it connected to your TV. So maybe the dock is just an optional extra that you can sort of plug into the TV. If the tablet's got wireless on it anyway, then maybe you don't particularly need the dock. There could be some people out there that only ever want to use it sort of wirelessly.
I can't see that happening. They'll bundle it all together, because the whole point is it's a home console and a console that you can take away. If you split it up, then it gets people confused. They're like, well, what do I need that for? What do I need this for? Oh, I've got this. What's that? Oh, can I not just use this bit? That's what will happen. So they need to bundle all that together. The Pro controller, that'll be sold separately. So
yeah,
that's what they'll do.
I think you might. Well, hopefully you're right. It'd be nice not to have to pay extra for that dock, because I bet they'll try and charge the best part of like £50 for a piece of plastic with an HDMI pass-through on it.
Oh, now you're walking on Apple's plan.
Yeah, so like a £5 piece of plastic with an Apple logo on it makes it £50. I mean, there's a lot of Apple bashing going on today. I mean, I'm not particularly a big Apple fan, but I think Apple make very pretty things, and they make them very well. So,
I like the iPhone. I've got one, so.
I think the iPhones were. I think that the iPhone was it the iPhone 4, the first one with like the glass screen and the glass back and the metal bumper around it, which stopped working because people were holding it the wrong way. I think they looked really good. I think they were very heavy, and I think they looked the part. But I never had one. Probably never will, really. So where was I? The docks apparently just to charge the Switch and output to the TV. We already spoke a bit about that. So some people have said that it can run PS3 and 360 games at 1080 60, but should be able to push 4K. And we spoke a little bit about that. And I guess that like it should be able to push 4K and it will push 4K are probably two very different things.
I don't think it's even going to do anything at 4K. It'll just be a 1080p machine.
I think 1080p. I think 1080 60 is probably enough for what it needs to do. I think 4K is still sort of very early.
This is Nintendo as well. They're not going to go into that kind of. That's making things more expensive. It's just that's not going to happen.
No, I mean they've never been afraid to sort of keep graphics sort of back in favour of sort of making more money or just making their emphasis has always been making games fun, and there've been a lot of fun games that haven't been too graphically sort of intensive. So maybe they will keep on with that. And the only other thing I've got is that battery life at the minute is a mystery. But and I think the iPad, and the Surface tablets, they're looking at the best part of sort of 8 to 9 hours of use. But are they sort of fairly intensive use? Sort of rendering graphics is a fairly intensive use of sort of a processor and a GPU, so maybe we're looking at sort of the 6 to 8 mark depending on the game.
That's what I'm thinking, but I'm hoping for 10.
10 would be nice.
Probably unlikely, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, it could be that they I would be shocked if there wasn't a virtual console on it. I'd be shocked if there wasn't a virtual console on it on the day of release. I think that's going to be one of these things that comes out. Fingers crossed you can link your old account to it and get all your old sort of purchases on it. Yeah, I don't see why, if they're emulating SNES games, you can't get a good sort of 10 hours out of the thing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. So is there anything you wanted to add? Anything you've seen or heard over the past couple of days?
Well, there's a post on the NeoGAF forum. They were talking. I think her name's Lucy Dale, or something like that. Something Dale, and she'd put out rumours before about the NX, now the Switch, which have proved correct. So she's a reliable source. She was saying that the Joy-Cons, they're going to have an IR emitter and receiver, so you'll be able to point them towards the TV, and then the actual tablet itself will have the receiver. So it would kind of work a bit like a Wiimote. So you could play touchscreen games on your TV. So if that's true, that means the screen will be touchscreen as well, so you can play mobile games on it on the go. And that's how you get around, so you can still play your games on the TV, because obviously it's got to be docked. It's not a dual screen experience. So that's quite interesting.
That is pretty good. That's been a lot of there's been sort of a lot of umming and ahhing about the touchscreen. I don't think it needs to be touchscreen.
No, I don't think it is either, but it'd be nice if it was.
Yeah, I suppose. But it's one of those. It's another one of those sort of gimmicky things that I can't see people using, like that bloody touchpad on the DualShock 4. Why they've not taken that out yet is a bit of a mystery, because I don't think I've seen a game that used it. Just as a button itself, you're always pressing the pad itself to get the button, but I don't think I've ever swiped it to use it for anything.
The Playroom used it, and Killzone used it.
Oh yeah, you had to switch the little robot thing.
I'm sure there's some others, but I can't think of any.
The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Black Flag.
The map. Yeah.
The map screamer, you can swipe with the little touchpad, or just use a D-pad, or one of the analog sticks. Much better. So, I don't know. I think it's. I think it was one of those things that. I know.
The game I worked on, F1 2015, used it for flashback.
Flashback?
Yeah, when you're racing and then you screw up, you press it and then you go back in time.
Oh, right, like a rewind thing. Yeah, okay.
Completely slipped my mind.
I thought you were talking about Flashback, the game. I was like, is Flashback in Formula 1?
No.
That was that would have been a weird one. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think it was one of those things that they put in and they were like, yeah, of course we'll use this. We'll always use it. Yeah, and then this never did. And I suppose it's even a little bit like the Wii U's sort of second screen on the tablet thing. They're like, oh yeah, every game with an inventory will use it for that. But I think people just stopped bothering after a while.
Well, you need to use it if you need it.
And I think there's some games that used it quite well. I think did Zombie U use it a lot? I think that used the screen a lot. And I don't know if I'm just making it up, but I want to imagine the games, the Project Zero games, so you have to take photos of ghosts. I imagine that would be quite.
Yeah, you're right. You had to hold it up. Yeah, there's quite a few that used the pad that way.
Yeah. But again, I don't think it particularly needed it. And they could have sold.
Backwards compatibility is not happening.
Yeah, I didn't expect.
There's no way
it
of
would.
doing it. It's a complete new architecture now.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't want it anyway. If you want to play on the old systems. I know some people like trading in their systems and being able to play the old games on it still, but you're going to have Virtual Console and they'll port stuff over.
I think the 3DS and things are sort of cheap enough now so that you could own a 3DS and a Switch. Sure, people might say, oh well, I don't want to carry both around, then just carry one or the other.
You don't need to carry
both. That might be quite cold.
You don't need to carry both, and you're going to end up just carrying one around in the end anyway, and it'll end up being the Switch eventually.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Nintendo going to drop support for the 3DS now? They've got the Switch coming out, because the Switch is the handheld console. Before, you had the Wii and the 3DS, and they sort of supported both.
I think you'll get about another year, maybe a year and a half of support, and then it will go.
Do you reckon? I think. Yeah. Well, I assume that the publishers are going to be the ones that are pushing for it, but I think I think certainly the Wii U will probably sort of die out within a matter of hours. But the 3DS, I think, is still fairly popular.
Yeah.
But will people making 3DS games just think, well, why are we still making 3DS games? Why don't we just port it to the Switch? Hopefully, the Switch has got a fairly good dev environment. They can just literally say, right, take it off of this, run a bit of code, stick it on that. Jobs are good. But who knows? And I suppose now that the new Pokemon's coming out. Is it this Christmas?
Yeah,
sometime this year.
December.
Yeah.
Sun and Moon.
Yeah, that's it. Sun and Moon looks like a weird game already, but I suppose we can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I guess that now would be the right time for them to say, you know what, let's not put it on the 3DS. Let's put it on the Switch to really wind people up. But I guess maybe they'll re-release it as like a HD, or maybe they'll just do a Sun and Moon 2.
Well, you got a couple of options there. You can let that come out, and then once the Switch is out, it'd be like 6 to 8 months after that game's been out. You can port it over to the Switch, or you can just create the next game and just go from the Switch onwards.
Yeah.
Or you could do the Switch and 3DS for the game and do it that way.
I suppose you could, yeah. But then there's a whole lot of things that would the two be backwards compatible? Probably not. But then like the Wii version of Modern Warfare, you couldn't play people on the 360 anyway, so maybe that really doesn't matter. So yeah, that was pretty much I think I've got to talk about with the.
I think we've completely covered it now.
Oh no, tell a lie. There was one more thing I thought of. I was reading a thing today that said one of the guys in the final scene, the Splatoon tournament, he is sort of a fairly famous YouTube streamer or Twitch streamer, and he said he was invited along, and they turned up, and for a long time they were just like, yeah, we'll be doing the NX thing, you'll be the first people to sort of hold it and see it, and up until like a few minutes before they started filming, no one had seen it, no one knew anything about it. They showed them the controllers, said, look, these are the controllers, and they stuck a piece of black tape over the logo. It's got the Switch logo in the middle, so they didn't even know what it was called. They signed a whole bunch of NDAs, and then they were sat in the chair, and someone came over and bought them the Switch, and they took the tape off all the stuff, and they had a look at the machines and how the thumbsticks react, and they said, right, make it look like you're playing a game of Splatoon, and we'll put the images in later. So that's what they did, and then he went on Twitter and told everyone about it. So I don't know if he's going to be in a whole lot of trouble. I imagine they would, because Nintendo likes rolling out the lawyers, and I would have thought that the NDA would last longer than just until the trailer gets launched.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will happen there, to be honest.
Yeah, bit of a.
He hasn't really given anything away about the system. It was just about the filming of the the trailer. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they won't be too bothered. Maybe he thought it was going to be small enough for Nintendo not to take notice. But you'd think that sort of a famous streamer talking about one of the big.
Yeah, it's going to blow up.
Oh,
Everyone's going to cover it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the last piece of sort of trivia I've got on it. I mean, the other big news, the other big thing which sent people going crazy was the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer.
Yeah, and that showed an hour after.
Yeah, they did not time that well, bless them.
Which looked amazing.
Oddly enough, not even watched the trailer yet.
Oh, you need to watch it. It looks really fantastic.
I've seen the pictures. So you've got the red background and the silhouettes of the people.
It looks like it could be a prequel because it looks like it's got what's his face? John Marsden. Yeah. Oh, it go watch it. It doesn't last very long. I think it's about a minute or something, but it shows some different locations and the water looks amazing in it. Yeah,
it's I mean, Red Dead, the first Red Dead, I didn't get into. I got quite a long way. There was like a bit was it like a riverboat, or you were on a raft or something, or people on either side of a canyon shooting at you. It was probably only about the first hour into the game, maybe. I don't really remember. But I don't remember getting that far in it, and I just got really bored with it because the horse handled like a tank, and I always sort of really struggled to do anything. But yesterday I sort of had a look, and it's backwards compatible on the Xbox One now. And there was a thing that said it doesn't matter which version you've got. If you've got Red Dead or Undead Nightmare, they all sort of download the same thing. So and I've got a copy of both. So I put Red Dead in. It told me I needed to download an update for the console at 7.9 gig, and it wasn't an update. It was just installing the game.
Yeah.
So I installed the game, and I had a quick go, and it handles really well. It plays really nicely. Even the graphics are pretty good. Probably a little bit better than I remember them being. And yeah, I'm going to try and finish the game before Red Dead 2 comes out. I've ruined it because I know exactly what happens. So whenever he's sort of sat there talking to that woman who rescues him straight away, whose name I've instantly forgotten, I sort of think, oh, there's going to be a love interest, but I already know he's married, I already know he's got a son, and I already know what happens at the end of the game. So that really sort of squashes the sort of like romance angle, because you want to sort of imagine him getting old and owning this ranch together. But no, I will definitely try and watch that trailer. But Rockstar just released a picture of a red background, and people went mental for it.
Yeah, and their shares went up as well.
Yeah, which goes to show you that just sort of teasing something, shares go up dramatically. I mean, Nintendo saw a massive spike in their share price just before the trailer was announced, and as soon as the trailer was released, saw a massive drop in their shares again. And I don't know why it dropped. I imagine it's because everyone sort of said, wow, my shares are worth twice what I paid for them this morning, let's get rid of all of these right away. Which I imagine is how the stock market works. I've actually got no idea. I'd love to know.
It confuses the hell out of me, the stock market.
So there was a trailer. There's another game that's just been, well, I say it's just been announced. It's been sort of stress tested recently, which is Titanfall 2. Got any sort of impressions on Titanfall 2?
I haven't even looked at it. I enjoyed playing the first one. It was pretty fun. I bought it when it was like £10 on offer last year when I got my Xbox One, but I'll probably get it at some point.
I bought it when it was on a sale. It was one of very few sort of full priced disc based games I've bought. A digital copy of it, and I think it was about £7, but came with all the DLC. So it was a good like 80 gig download. And yeah, I one of my friends bought it at the same time, and we played it for a bit, and I enjoyed it, but after about a week, I think I'd had my money's worth. And I know someone who got an Xbox One when they were sort of first released. They had that Titanfall console with a really nice controller.
Oh yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, and he took it home and he plugged it all in, and he came to work the next day, and I was like, "You've got to tell me what Titanfall's like. What's it like?" And he's like, "I don't know. It's still downloading." I was like, "Still?" And then even the next day, I was like, "What's Titanfall like?" So I'll tell you tomorrow. I was like, "Really? God." So I think it took him the best part of sort of 3 days, and after that, he's just like, "I don't even care anymore. It's all right. It's not nothing to write home about." But yeah, I quite like the fact that there were sort of little minions that ran around, and you killed them to get your kill streak up, so you get your Titan faster.
Yeah, it made you feel like a badass.
Didn't the AI was terrible as well. They would just stand there and let you shoot them in the face for the most part. But I liked the sort of the wall running and the sort of free jumping and all these sorts of things. I didn't like that it didn't have a single player campaign. I think it really suffered for that because
they molded it into the multiplayer, and half the time when the video was playing, you couldn't hear what the hell was going on. You weren't concentrating. You're too busy fighting people, so I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I think generally it was something to do with a industrial corporation was mining the hell out of this planet, and they had these mechs, and then a resistant group also had the same mechs, and they were fighting the industrialists or something. I remember there being a horde mode sort of thing, which I thought was quite good fun. But yeah, the Titanfall 2, that's been, I think we've sort of known it was coming for a while, and that's got a single player campaign in it, and I think they say your like robot sidekick has its own AI and will sort of have little conversations with you and things. And I don't know how that'll pan out. I guess there's going to be certain points where you can use the AI, certain points where you can't, certain points where you can use the Titan, and certain points where you can't, because it would be a little bit unfair if you were like, "Sorry, just get the Titan out, roll straight over everyone." And then in the same time as well, I bet there's going to be parts where the enemy's got Titans and you're just on your feet because you've got that increased agility and things. So I don't know about Titanfall 2. I imagine that it's probably going to be one of those things that I will pick up eventually, but as a day one, I think I'm probably going to struggle to justify it.
Yeah, same here. Do you know, I felt really sorry for the devs when they created Titanfall, because it was Vince, and I always forget the other guy's name, the two guys from Infinity Ward. They set up Respawn, and they had after all those years with Call of Duty, and people saying no one cares about the single player, everyone's just all about multiplayer. So they're like, right, we're going to make a multiplayer game, and we're going to bring in like a story to it, an interview. And it's a really cool idea. Yeah, I love it. Put it out. Where's the goddamn single player? I want single player. And you're just like, I can't win, can I?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were the ones that made it. So yeah, maybe. I think that's the fickle nature of games and gaming. To be fair, I think that people always want something that they don't have, and when they're given it, they actually just wanted the first thing anyway. Or
that's
maybe
kind of the problem with the internet, isn't it? You only ever hear the bitching.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, even if you do support for sort of any business, no one ever rings you up to say, yeah, everything's working, great, thanks a lot. It's always the sort of vocal minority that just want to call and bitch. So yeah, a little bit more knowledge. Do feel sort of a little bit sorry for them, but you've got this amazing job where you get to create games, so I can't feel too sorry for you. So sod off. And I guess the only other sort of big thing I've got to talk about, it's not even that big really. It's what Game are doing with the PSVR. Do you know what Game are doing with the PSVR? Yeah,
they're selling goes on it basically.
Yeah, basically they're charging you for a demo.
Yeah, you can £5 for 10 minutes, and then what was it, 15 for 30 or something like that?
Yeah, basically it's £5 for 10 minutes. So it's 5 for 10, 10 for 20, and 15 for 30 minutes.
Oh, so it goes up £5 every 10 minutes then.
Basically, yeah.
I personally, I don't have a problem with it. It's you're going in, you're going in knowing I can pay for however long I want to play on it for. Get an idea as if I want to buy the system. If I do want to buy the system, that money's taking off the actual thing as long as you buy it there and then. I think the details were, but I think that's perfectly fine because you're just gonna get people coming in and go, "Can I have a go?" and then just bugger off because you're gonna have somebody on staff there all day waiting for people to go on it, and what that means is they're going to take those people off either the floor or off the till. They're not going to employ new people for this.
Yeah. That was the argument I was reading the forum. That was their argument. They were saying that they've got to pay a staff member to sort of sit and watch these people, to watch these people play this game, make sure that nothing gets damaged, and once you've had sort of several very sort of sweaty people like wrestling this headset,
it's going to have to be constantly cleaned,
and you can't sell it. You cannot resell this thing.
No.
Once it's a piece of demo stock, it's a piece of demo stock. Unlike a disc game, they can throw the disc back in the box, sell it as new or sell it as pre-owned. But this thing is going to really struggle. And I've got sort of conflicting views on it because I'm not a big game fan. I don't see why they're charging for it. I think they could do it for free. I don't really see a problem. I mean, these units themselves are what, sort of £350 retail. Wholesale, you can sort of assume they're going to be a lot less than that. So if game aren't paying a vast amount, it's increased footfall into the store. People are going to play it. Some people are going to buy it. But I don't know if I feel like it's kind of punishing people who don't have enough money but want to go on it. So yeah, I mean that's the only thing I'm kind of conflicted with. But then they could quite easily just say no one gets a go, no one gets a demo. You either buy it or you don't. So maybe it's not too bad. Maybe I think £5 is just a bit too much for 10 minutes as well. I
think it should just be £5 flat fee, not in these increments.
Yeah, but then how long do you say? Right, you've paid your 5 minutes. There's a queue. You've been on for 2 minutes. You paid your £5. There's a queue. You've been on for 2 minutes. Get off. Let someone else have a go. So I think having that set.
No, I just think it should be just a 15-minute playtime. It gives you enough time to just play around on Play Go or whatever they've got set up.
Yeah, and then I know as well. There's a lot of people that don't know they get this this VR sickness thing. So
yeah, I mean I've been using the Oculus and PlayStation Pro, and I'm used to it now. But when I first started using it, I had to stop like every 10-15 minutes, have a break for 10 minutes because it just made me feel a bit bleh.
God. Yeah, I get really bad. I get really bad sort of not even motion sickness. I don't know what it is with like VR, but VR makes me go really really green around the gills. So I mean the PSVR, a lot of the games won't be sort of kind of suitable for me. Apparently the ones where you're stood in place and you can't physically move around because it's that thing where your brain thinks you're moving but your stomach knows it's not, and that's the bit that sort of makes you feel ill. So sort of there's like an archery game, is it called Longbow or something, where you're stood on top of a castle wall and you're firing arrows. I think it was on the Vive, because it had those controllers with the two holes in the middle, and they were playing this game. And I sort of thought maybe that wouldn't be too bad again, because you're stationary, you're looking around, which is no real problem, I don't suppose. So I wondered if that was, I wondered if those sort of games. But then why would I want to pay for a game where I'm stood still, not doing anything? And maybe I don't know if they'll ever be able to combat that. So maybe just VR is going to be one of these things that's never for me.
Maybe if you thinking about getting one, I recommend trying it first. That's for sure.
Yeah, so maybe in that sort of respects, the demo and even the paid demo is sort of not that bad. but I don't think you get an awful lot of time for your money, really. So yeah, that's I mean that's the only other thing I've sort of read or looked at. Is there anything else you've sort of seen lately?
No, that pretty much covers it this week.
I mean, other than that, there's sort of I mean, I've been playing Gears 5. Is it 5? No, Gears 4. No, it is 5.
Yeah,
is it
5.
4?
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, hang on. No, it's 4.
I think it is 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking 5 because there was Judgment, and that wasn't a number.
I think that's what was confusing me as well. So Gears 4, the campaign, and actually an awful lot of the Horde mode. Have you played Gears yet? Have you?
No, I haven't got it. I will get it.
I've really enjoyed it so far. I think the storyline's really good. I think the characters are really good. I think the set pieces, Gears has always been sort of one of these games where you roadie run between set pieces and never really see any of the environment around you. But the environments are fairly sort of interesting. There's a lot of stuff from sort of pre-emergence days. So there's a lot from the Pendulum Wars. There's a couple of you go into a castle which has got this sort of field hospital from the Pendulum Wars, and even sort of they bring it on into the Emergence Day sort of locust fights, and that's all really nice, really atmospheric. There's lots and lots of dead cogs around. No one went in to clean them up. And yeah, the new enemies at first I thought it was a bit boring because you only fight the same kind of enemy. And it sort of dawned on me that all the way through all of the other Gears campaigns, you only ever fight Locust. So, you know, maybe I'm sort of being a bit picky with that. But then again, later on, you get different kind of enemies pop up. The storyline's pretty good. I don't really want to ruin anything for anyone, but I thought the storyline was pretty well made. It's not the best storyline. It's certainly better than 1 and 2, and definitely better than Judgment, because I think Judgment was really the sort of like the unloved sibling of the Gears games. But it's not. It doesn't hold that same sort of emotion that maybe Gears 2 and definitely Gears 3 had. But you can tell it's definitely setting up for the sequels. So hopefully we won't have to wait so long for the next Gears. So that's basically all I've been playing for a while. Again, sort of just briefly on the Horde mode, it's pretty much the same as all the other Horde modes. Fight waves of enemies, get credits, buy reinforcements and turrets and things.
I've heard that it's really hard.
I think it's pretty hard. I tend to play on normal because it gives you the best chance of survival, but absolutely no experience. So you find that your class, you get different classes in this. So you've got sort of soldier, engineer. I don't know if any of the others had different classes. I can't really remember that far back. So you get like soldier, engineer, sniper, and support. And then you sort of get different skills for them. So the engineer can buy like turrets cheaper, and the soldier has more ammo, and the support can do like pick up energy from further away. And you get these, like, as well as experience, you get these sort of credits, which of course you can buy as microtransactions. And these credits you use to buy packs of cards, and the cards make your skills better. But other than that, I mean, it takes a very long time to earn enough credits to buy a pack of cards. It takes even longer to level up your class, to the point where I think I played for about 2 days solid and got about like 3 levels in a class. And it's that sort of really slow leveling curve that just sort of makes me think, why am I even bothering anymore?
You kind of put it off.
Yeah.
I don't. Doesn't make me want to play that now.
No, Horde's okay. Horde's one of these games that I think will be really good. I mean, I played with, like, I tend to play with one of my friends. I played with sort of a full group of 5 people, and we really enjoyed it. So in that sort of respect, it's probably really good if you've got a full group on a regular basis. But just sort of playing on my own, I think I'd get really bored of it, to the point now where I'm just like, maybe I'll just play something else. So that's why I started Red Dead again.
Oh, Red Dead's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
wish I need to play it again. Ain't got time.
No, well, I suppose I'm only playing now because I know the second one's coming out, and maybe I'll pick that up, and I want to be sort of fully informed. But like you say, if it's a prequel, then maybe I don't need to be fully informed. Maybe being fully informed would be the wrong thing to be. But I guess we'll see. So what have you been playing lately?
Well, I've got 2 games on the go at the moment. At work, I'm playing Alien Breed Impact, which is alright. It was done by Team 17.
I love the enthusiasm. It's alright.
Well, it's a remake of, I believe it's a remake of the first game from the Amiga, which I absolutely loved when I was a kid. It was such a good game. This one just doesn't have any of the personality that game had. It's just generic space game 101. Let's go for a ship that's exploding. Turn off some computers. Go to the next room. Kill some aliens. Turn off a computer. Oh no, the power's gone. Go get the power back on. Go back to the terminal. Turn it on. Go to the next room. It's basically the entire game.
Oh, God. So it's really like space twin stick shooter.
Yeah.
Could just be anything. Doesn't even need to be like Alien Breed.
No. And it's all right to play at dinner time for 45 minutes. Breaks up my day a bit, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. If you got it for 10p, then yeah, maybe.
I played it on my phone. I bought a Humble Bundle, and that had Alien Breed in it. And I played it for a bit, but I think I struggle to play anything on my phone anyway. I find touchscreen controls just god awful. But I wasn't particularly thrilled with it. I suppose when Alien Breed first came out, it was a fairly sort of new thing, really. That top down. I'm going to call it a twin stick shooter, despite the fact it is
a twin stick shooter essentially.
Well, the Amiga one didn't even have sticks; it had a joystick, I suppose. So that maybe that was it. Maybe things were just better when they were the first of their kind. But now I've had 50 things that are basically exactly the same. It's harder to stand out.
It's a real shame because the first one it just had a lot of character. This one just has nothing. It's just very dark, very bland. Just think of the most generic action man you can think of. I'm in a suit and I talk really deep. It's just like, I can't go on like this. I need to finish. It's like, it's a real shame because it could be really cool.
To do voice acting yet? That's basically Batman, isn't it? That's
I'm very moody right now.
Well, that was your first of your games that you're into. What was the other one?
The Witcher 3. I'm still going through that.
I'm getting bored of listening to you talk about it.
Game. It's so good.
It is really good, but it was really good like a year ago.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't get around to playing it then. I've got 3 missions left, and then I've finished.
Are you sure you're finished? Because I remember from that game, it was like, oh, this has got to be the last mission. Oh, there's another bit. There's another continent. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I checked the walkthrough on IGN. I'm on 3. I've got 3 main missions left. I've still got a few side missions and stuff, but whether I complete them or not, I don't know. But the main game, definitely completing it. Just everything about that game is incredible. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It plays really well. The characters are awesome. I feel like they're my friends, and my interactions with them. I feel like I've got to help them, or if I screw them over, they're not going to like me, kind of thing. And just certain things that you do cause ripple effects throughout the game. And it's just it works even better than what Mass Effect did it. It feels like there's a lot more grey area in The Witcher, whereas with Mass Effect it was, if I do this, then this will happen, or this will happen. Whereas The Witcher seems like multiple things could happen.
But in the Witcher, it doesn't matter who you sleep with. But in Mass Effect, it's a real choice, and you had to weigh up the pros and cons. Or if you're like me, just play the game like 4 or 5 times and sleep with everyone in each individual game, including that thing where you sleep with Jack the first time when she asks you to, and then refuses to speak to you for the rest of the game. Not that I've got a problem with Mass Effect or seeing Shepard romance all these people. But yeah,
Mass Effect's one of my all-time favourite games. So.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, with the Witcher, I agree that all these people it kind of feels like its own little community, and they're all really sort of nice people, and they all work really well together. I'm not sure I really liked Ciri that much. I think she was a bit whiny.
I like Ciri as a character. The voice is a little weird. It's like she's not as good as the other voice actress.
I think my problem with Ciri was that she was a bit too English aristocracy prim and proper, whereas everyone's a bit like mud under their fingernails, kind of rough and ready.
It is weird. Like Triss, she sounds American.
Yeah, Triss sounds very American though. Even Yennefer, she sounds super American too. Yeah. Whereas Geralt just sounds gravelly, I suppose. I suppose all the Witchers sound a bit kind of gravelly.
Well, it's that the stereotypical man.
Yeah, we're manly men. We fight monsters. Yeah, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Have you played the DLCs yet? Are you waiting for the end?
Waiting for the end. Then I'll probably end up buying DLCs.
Yeah, I got the season pass, and right at the beginning of the campaigns, they say, "Do you want to load a character in? Do you want to start from first level, which is not recommended at all? Don't do that. Or do you want us to give you like a pre-gen leveled up character?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to do any of these things." So I'll just start the game. And I forgot how long it takes to level up to like level 20. After level 20, the levels sort of start to fly up.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it?
Isn't it weird? The leveling curve on that is really messed up. So yeah, and I think it said for the first one, for like the one where you go to the new continent, you need to be about level 20, 28 or 25 or something. And I was like, I can't do that. I'll get to level 23 and I'll go. So after about 30 hours, I finally got to play this bloody DLC campaign, and I'd sort of already gotten bored of the game, and it was
can't get bored of this game. It's too good. It just keeps driving me back. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. I can't speak highly enough about this game.
Just the sooner you finish it, the sooner you can get onto like last year's other top games, and then eventually we'll catch up.
Yeah. I love this game so much. I'm actually half tempted to get the Witcher Wolf tattoo.
Oh, just going too far.
I love it so much, man.
Just don't be like, oh yeah, I need to get some scars. Yeah, that'll look good.
Oh God, no, I don't want scars. I'm ugly enough as it is. I don't need more.
As long as one of us was going to say it.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
So yeah, I mean, I suppose you've got some good things to look forward to with the DLC. I think the DLCs are highly recommended.
Well, one of them is meant to be longer than The Witcher 2.
Oh God!
And that took me ages to complete that.
I just started The Witcher 2 because it was one of these games that was sort of free on Xbox Live. So I thought, yeah, I'll download it, and never played it, and then played about an hour of, and I was like, God, this is really hard to play. So I think they must have streamlined a lot for The Witcher.
Oh, definitely. Did you ever play the first one?
No, but I heard that it was pretty intense.
It was just click mouse, click mouse, click mouse, click mouse. That was just all it was for the fighting. I loved it though. Really enjoyed it. I've loved all the Witcher games. It's a shame that they're not doing anymore.
Are they not doing anymore?
Nah, this is the last one.
Oh, that does surprise me. But then I suppose we're getting the Gwent card game that's coming out soon.
And then they've got the I can't even say it, Cyberpunk game coming as well.
Oh yeah, that Cyberpunk game. I've seen some early like concept art, so that might be really good.
Yeah, hopefully.
God, well, I mean, I don't think I've got an awful lot else to add about The Witcher, unless you've got anything else you want to gush about while we're here.
If you've not played it, definitely go play it.
Oh God,
basically,
yeah. It needs to be played.
It's an absolute must.
I think they've only just released. I say they've only just probably been a good couple of months now. They've released like the full collection.
Yeah.
And it's well worth getting, well worth playing. So with that, I think I'm officially out of things to say. So have we got any final thoughts, Kingy?
Go play The Witcher. Can I go play The Witcher now?
I think as good a final thought as any. And I suppose mine will just be like Nintendo. Nintendo, you really need to tell us more about the Switch, because I am so on the fence. I might as well be the fence. I've become the fence. I've become that dividing line. And I really just want to know one way or another what it's going to be. I mean, we've seen enough of sort of what it does. I just need to know more. I need more details, I think.
More details would be very nice. Yeah.
So with that, I think it's probably sort of time to sign off. You can find me on Facebook as Pondis Plays, and even on Twitter as unoriginally as Pondis Plays.
How convenient.
Sorry.
How convenient is that?
Yeah, you find a name, you stick with it. Where can we find you, Kingy?
Well, on Twitter, I mostly use my personal one, which is Ivan_Czar. Facebook, I've got Bold Bearded Gamer. Search for that. On Instagram, you can also find Bold Bearded Gamer as well. I tend to post up just games that I find all the time. That's about it, really.
Well, fair enough. So that was our first incredibly rushed episode. As we speak, it's Tuesday. We've not even got an intro or an outro yet, so we're going to go away and find those now, and then we mix them in at the end. And fingers crossed, this can be a much more regular thing. So look out for us. We'll try and get our podcast listed everywhere we can, and make as many people as we can sick of us in a short period of time.
Oh, I'm sure that won't take very long.
Yeah, I'm sure after the first 5 minutes, people will be like, "God, already done with this."
Yeah.
So hopefully we will speak to you soon.